Hello, how are you all doing today? So today we're going to take a look at a coin called WABI. WABI? WABI. The name is the same as the ticker, which is pretty cool. And it was requested by my friend Winnie. Winnie's awesome. Like I always say, any coin Winnie requests, she gets because she's the poo, guys. You know, Winnie, I'm actually having lunch right now, and I wish we could have lunch together, but too bad you're in Australia. But I just want you to know that I'm eating like, I can't eat Bank One right now, okay? I can't eat Bank One. But I'm eating like, ramen that I made, and it has an egg in it as well. Like it's got a whole egg in it. It's spoiled so nicely. Like I'd even share this ramen with you. Like that's how cool I think I would definitely share the ramen with you. Like I don't know if we would share the same chopsticks. I don't think we're there yet, but like I'd let you have some of the egg for sure. For sure I'd let you have some of the egg and like maybe just a bite, but like the whole thing, that'd be kind of outrageous. That's like at least base 3 getting the whole egg, right? We're not even there yet. Didn't even walk up to the pitcher's plate yet. So yeah, and you guys know what they say. Like if you wanna, like the key to a girl's heart, guys, is to do her technical analysis that she requests for her. Like that is key. If you guys ever want to pick up women, you guys learn how to do TA, okay? Because nothing is more impressive on the interwebs with the crypto space than being able to do TA for a lass, okay, guys? And you guys the best pickup line in cryptocurrency, if you guys don't know it, is if you guys ever go to the bar, you guys just, Winnie, like I'd probably use it on you. I'd probably use a pickup line, something like, hey, you remind me of a Bitcoin. And you'd be like, why is that? And I'd be like, because I know you're gonna get a hard fork. Ha ha ha. Okay, guys, anyways, enough joking around. I'm not sharing my instant noodle, obviously, okay? And you're not a Bitcoin. Because the Bitcoin fork already happened. It already happened, guys. And yeah, so we're gonna take a look at this coin right now. And it's a very interesting coin, but this is not a positive. This is not a positive one, I'm sorry to say, guys, okay? So we're going to take a look at it, and when any new coin is released, first of all, we're going to take a look at the market cap. Market cap is already 1/10 of a billion there at $100 million USD. It's already trading at a pretty decent volume, equivalent to 12 million. Most of it is Bitcoin pairs, I'd imagine. Yeah, Bitcoin pairs is traded on Binance a lot. 9 million volume. It's definitely fairly significant, right? It's trading to the volume of like, more than cash, more than ETP, more than data, more than fund, GNT, TNB, SPK, more than all of those combined. It's trading to about half the volume of what Music Go right now on bitfinex equivalent, which is still a pretty decent amount. So it's a coin that was just released recently on December 16. So we're definitely going to expect some sort of uptrend, right, when a coin is released, and then a correction period for some time, because the major impulse move was made up, and then after that, it gets corrected. So for every impulse move up like this, there's 5 waves going up. And then after we get 5 waves going up, what usually happens is we get a corrective pattern of some sort. It can come in A, B, C, it can come in A, B, C, D, E, it can come in W, X, Y, right? So this is an A, B, C, D, E, it can come in the W, X, Y as well, where W is there. And this is an ABC down there, and then we get another ABC. And when these lines connect, they usually form some sort of flagpole, right? Like that. In that kind of space. So we want to see what kind of pattern this is going to form, right? And we want to see where the best possible entry is. Now we want to also see if we can count 5 possible waves going up already. Okay? Now, the way I'd probably end up counting this, where we want to make sure that the waves don't overlap too much. Because of that long red wick over there, it's giving me a hard time leveling it off here properly. So I'm on a 4-hour time frame now. Yeah, this is okay. Yeah, okay. So now we ask ourselves, can this be a wave 1? Okay, let's just play out all the different scenarios and all the different possible combinations there are. Let's just say hypothetically this was 1, okay? Now we say to ourselves, well, wave 3 retraced heavily into wave 1 territory. that doesn't seem likely at all that it could be like this, right? I'm not really a big fan of this right now at all. So this doesn't really seem valid to me, okay? Oh, so we have to make note of this point like that. Now we say to ourselves, all right then, well, where could the next possible uptrend be? Well, what if it was this one right there, that one here, that one here? Wave 4 in leveraged markets can retrace just by a wick, and this one fits my criteria. Look really, really closely right here, right? It's only the wicks that's going over it. So I ask myself, does it fit my criteria? Obviously, just the wick areas, where I would consider this part right here wave 1. Here, if it was wave 4, right? Or sorry, if this was wave 4, it's not just by the wicks, it's a lot. It's a lot that intersects. But this one here seems to make sense. And I ask myself, this one right here, this is an ending 5th wave diagonal or leading 1st wave diagonal. So I ask myself, could it be the 1st or could it be the 5th? Well, if this is the strongest one that it looks like here, and it retraced a very respectable amount, and that was the 5th one, could that make sense? Alright? So something like that could make sense as well. And now, we also count 5 in here, where the uptrend starts here, there, 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 and the next highest point for an extended 5th wave. So, in hindsight, we might have missed out on the uptrend, but if we look into the future and we plan ahead, we can try to get some really, really, really nice extensions or nice entries, right? And how did people know that this was going to be the top? Okay, let's say I cleared everything now, or let's say let's say I cleared everything, and now I drew it in my Elliott wave, where this is 1 right here, this is 2, right? This is 3, this is 4. Like 4 is right here pretty much. And that fits as well. It doesn't retrace to the wave 1 territory. And we get a very, very extended 5th wave. That's why it was parabolically moving up for a while until the correction happens. Okay? So does this fit our criteria of 5 waves in here? And I'd say absolutely it does. Here we get 5 waves in here, right? And then we get the parabolic move up. Like that. So yes. So you missed this whole uptrend. Okay, so you missed it. How did normal people play it? Not normal, but what is a very respectable way to play it? Okay? And how did some people get in this whole region right there, this whole wick? How are they lucky enough to, okay? First thing to consider is a support zone. You have to consider a support zone. This one barely counts, okay? You have to look at a place that has lots of price action. And that would be right here, right? You guys can all agree with me that this zone met a lot of resistance, came down, met support, met resistance, came down, met support, now it's going back up. So a lot of people, depending on the range, which is very subjective and arbitrary, might have placed buy orders right around there, okay? Because they would have been like, okay, I'm going to take the risk to reward chance. So if I were playing this coin at the top right there, this is what I would have done. I'm just going to move this out of the way so I can see the top. I would have called the top, first of all, by this, okay? First of all, there's no way I would have missed these counts, right? You do your wave 1 there, you get 2, and once these ones are done, you can get an idea of where the 5th one can be projected. So, yeah, so once you get to the top here, you can just see it bearishly diverging on the histogram, right there on the histogram, and we also get these series of peaks, right? And once we break here, specifically this zone, then this is where you would start planning your entry. Once it breaks these support zones right there, because that's where we see it bounce off every time for RSI. All right, so it broke it, right? So now the next step would be this. You say to yourself, all right, it's clearly on a downtrend, but where could it possibly stop? And where could it possibly stop would probably be 2 zones. First zone people might take a chance is right here around, okay, this first green box, and the second one is right around here. And if you keep going lower, you're going to see different zones of price activity and price action as well. So for example, right here. So that's worst case scenario, right? But usually it wants to retrace to where the wave 4 territory is. So this one hasn't really retraced a lot yet, all right? It hasn't really retraced a lot yet. But we have to keep in mind that we're looking for some sort of A, B, C pattern like that, first of all. And here, I clearly count 5 already in here as well on the downtrend. I'm going to go to 2 hour. Sorry. 1, 2, 1, 2. Here we go. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is the 4th, and that's the 5. This one made a leading first wave diagonal in here. You don't see it on this time frame, but if I zoomed in a lot, you would see the leading first wave diagonal. Kind of forms like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like in a wedge like this in here. And you see these all the time. And then it breaks downwards. You see, or like a channel, right? A leading first wave diagonal or a leading channel where it makes actually 5 points on here. You know, five waves within the first subwave there. Or it might even been somewhere in here like that, right? Because that part of that might have been subwave 2. So either way, I see that as a leading first wave. And I see 2 here like this right now already. Right, I see 2 because this makes 5 subwaves with you usually find 5 big subwaves in here. 3, 4, and 5. Then you see the last wave down here. And then you see one against the counter trend. A, B, you know, C like that, where we're getting a series of higher highs. A, B, C with pretty much a one-to-one extension. So what people would have played, like the way I would play this, right? I see things that are, a lot of coins right now are at the very top, right? And once you identify the top, you might be missing out on a little bit. You might be missing out on it a lot, right? Like you might notice it a few days later or something. So the best thing to do is to take your Fibonacci tool from basically where it began. I can't zoom out too much. Right here from where it began, and look for key Fibonacci levels that coincides with price action. And where would it first be, right? It would be this green zone right here. This green zone right here. And that's where you bounce up to your B. So what I'm getting to, guys, is every time a new coin gets released, it's going to do this. It's going to spike up, you know, spike up, and then there's going to be a long period of consolidation. We have our 5 waves already, right? We have our 5 waves already that I see in here. And I do count 5 waves coming down. And just based on the strength, like I can't see it any other way. If I clear up all of these things on the chart here, I cannot see an ABC anywhere else other than right here, where we're getting a series of higher highs. Therefore, what I think is it's going to reach a fairly lower low. Like this right here, sure, it was tested in this region right there. Sure, it was tested, but what we've been seeing is that those often get tested multiple times before we just get spiked up, right? So I'm anticipating for it to go lower. And if that is my ABC, and we assume a zigzag, right? Because it is making a zigzag. We assume a 1-to-1 ratio, and we assume that it might even fall down to possibly even lower. So I do believe that there's still 5 waves going down. There's no doubt about that. There's still 5 waves that are coming down here, right? Or if that's not wave B, okay? Like if that's not wave B right here, I stand correctly with what I say. If that didn't actually finish yet, because it's just subwaves within it, then, you know, there's also a chance that it might make its way up to over here somewhere, like a 0.5, 0.6 region. But here I see it already hit 0.5. So yeah, that kind of worries me as well. not only that, like we are seeing rejection and we're seeing volume pick up right now, but I'm about to see this, it's not upticking, guys. Like you see it reaching a zone positively, but now it wants to negatively snap back down to the negative side by just curving around, right? So not only that, if we zoom out here, we see on the downtrends that the impulse downs or the corrected waves down, they're reaching a negative RSI. And then why is it spiking up here to now, right? It's because that's the ABC correction. And by Brown's law of RSI is usually bearish still if it cannot cross above the high 60 regions, right, to the 70, 80s. But what we'll see in a lower time frame probably is RSI spiking to a reasonable level during the ABC correction. So let's see if we can see that. So right here on the 15-minute reasonable, right? 80, 85, 5-minute, we'll for sure see it for pretty high. Got to like 85, 90. But now all of a sudden it wants to downtrend. That's why we're seeing it very negatively. And this to me, like on a very low time frame, right? It looks like it's just the start of the impulse waves up. You know, it'll go to, it's at 24, it'll go to 26, it'll go down to 21. I do believe that the correction is not even close to over yet, guys. It's going to be a fairly long time. We're going to expect it to probably test a few more levels, I'm guessing. You know, it's eventually going to make some sort of pattern like this, I'm guessing. Some sort of pattern in here like that. Right now, I'm sure in a higher time frame, those would probably look like just a wick. Computer's lagging a little bit. I don't know why. Okay, let's do that again. Well, you know, the main thing to keep note of is there's two arguments mainly to my technical analysis, okay? If this was, is this ABC, right? Like that for a zigzag with 5 impulse downs like that? Or is this ABC right there like that? Because it'll bounce off the trend line. So right now we're waiting to see, right? But the main thing is that when you see an uptrend, you take a buy zone with a lot of price activity and you just hope that it's going to bounce around that area. So you're taking a risk and you're planning it ahead of time, right? Because it's not likely that it's just going to fall through a support zone where there was a lot of price action and activity before. There's a good chance that it's going to test it before it goes down. And that's what these kind of regions are for. So what a good trader will do, right? Like not myself, but just generally speaking, right? I keep a tracker of a lot of different coins that every TA that I'm doing, I'm tracking it to some extent, whether I'm trading it or not, right? I'm not going to trade all of them, but I will track it if it is during a consolidation. If it's near the top and I count the wave, you guys have seen some of my predictions where I say is the top in, right? Well, if the top is in, then we're going to follow this method of just taking Fibonacci retracement here. We're going to look for a buy zone, and we're going to take a chance that it's going to bounce, right? Because it's not likely for it to just fall through. That's what a lot of these people did, right? And that's why you see these really long wicks. So if that holds to be true, and that's A, and this is not B, right? And we're not expecting a C like that, then we're also going to assume that a B could be somewhere up there. Now, where could a B be? Maybe even higher Fibonacci level than that, right? B could be possibly 0.5 Fibonacci level even. Is it possible that we do something like here and then we form an A, B, C, D, and E? Okay. Let's say, yeah, 0.5 Fibonacci. I don't think 0.6 is likely, but 0.5. Okay. Let's say like that. And then we make an A, B, C, D, E kind of pattern, and then it breaks out. Because right now we are holding absolutely with a long wick. So this is one possible play as well, right? That we break out to a higher high and it's a very short one. Because we have to acknowledge this trend line support right here. We have to 100% say that this is a strong support line that has held true right there. So people played this, guys, based on the price action right here. They will put a buy, they would have put a buy zone right in here, okay? They would have put a buy zone, just say right around the average here. Right here, okay? They would have targeted as well because of the trend line. Actually, a lot of people probably would have bought right there because of the trend line. They would have put a stop loss probably, you know, kind of right below it. Maybe, I don't know, everyone's stop loss is different, right? We'll just say 10% on average. And then the worst case you could have done was you could have targeted a 0.382 Fibonacci level. Okay, once you see this long wick, you would have been like, yes. Then your targets would come in, and your target would be, target 1 here would have been 24%, and then target 2 would have been 36%. So that's pretty good gain. So right now it's a little bit too late to get in on this play, right? It's a little bit too late, definitely too late to get in on this play. Like, the best way to look at this right now from a TA perspective is to say and assume that this trend line will hold and that there will be a B that's going to touch somewhere in there. Because right now this is not really making any other shape, right, that we can see. I mean, we're making this shape that we can see. If I deleted this part up here and took out that hypothetical part or the assumption part, right? So we got to ask ourselves right now, okay, we got to ask ourselves, is this going to break out? Up or down? Well, do we get more pressure to go down with lower highs, or do we get more pressure for it to bounce up because of this trend line support? And right now, you know, I do think an ABC could happen. Don't get me wrong. This is a very likely case that we get the ABC like that, just happening and going straight down to the next support region. And that next support region would be like the 786, like the lower range right here. This box, the lower range, right? If we even break the lower one that we got earlier, this range would probably be between 14.4 and maybe 16.7. And then if we break that, we might even fall to a different region down over here as well. That's 11.8 and 14.3. So it's possible that it could break down once it gets squeezed into here. It's no doubt that it's getting squeezed into here, right guys? 100% it's squeezing. So all I'm saying is that I'm assuming that it could go down lower as well. Or I'm assuming as well that it could maybe target a 6.5 Fibonacci region, where the two possible plays is that it could come down to here, of course, or I was looking for my ABCDE tool, A, B, and then let's say it breaks upwards instead, right? And you know, we end up getting to like, hold on, that was in 0.5, like right here. We end up making an ABCDE pattern as well to, I don't know, 0.5, whatever, something like that, DE, right? So I think that a lot of opportunities have been missed already to play this. And if I were to play this right now, and always keep in mind, guys, I'm no financial advisor, right? this is just a video game to me, guys. Honestly, like, how is this any different than a video game, right? Really, when you think of it, you acquire skills, and you have an arsenal of weapons that you can use, and a different method of analyzing it, and then you just apply it. It's no different than playing any other video game, and some people are awesome at it, some people are not awesome at it, right? I'm constantly trying to get better at this thing that I see as a game, right? And the game ultimately is to make money and to grow it. But that's how some people see it. But to me, the way I see it is just being right, right? Just to see where it goes, to make predictions. It's like guessing, right? It's like a puzzle. It really is like a very complex puzzle, and the more we see it that way, the more fun we can enjoy. And the more fun and the more we can enjoy trading in general, right? So I'm just seeing it as a puzzle of planning in advance, okay? Like a flow chart. And we're thinking of like, if this does this, then could it do this? Or if that does that, then this will happen. It's a lot of series of like if and only if statements, right? So we're just trying to deduce possibilities and just try to look at probabilities of things happening by weighing it against other ones or against other variations of what we think can happen. So what I think can happen right now is that one of two things, guys. It's either going to break out and hit some respectable Fibonacci region right here, Fibonacci region, right? So if it does break out, you guys can draw your trend line analysis however you want. just target a 0.5. So a conservative play would be to wait until we get a breakout, right? A breakout of this triangle with conviction and volume. And who knows, you can target 0.5 Fibonacci or something like that. You can set your stop loss slightly below here. It's not even a risky play. I mean, you can be so conservative right here. You can risk 5% of your position size with a 4.15 risk to reward, and you can gain up to 22%. Like, that's a possibility. Or super conservative at 3.82 if it does break out there with still a 13% gain and a 2.37 risk to reward ratio. So, you know, that's one play. I'm just trying to look at different plays. But if it does break down, guys, and it doesn't, and this was A, B, and it does a zigzag, right? Because I don't really know right now. I'm just waiting for patterns to break right now. Then you're gonna have to assume different support regions, right? And you're waiting for a breakout to go up to maybe buy into strength or to get some limits filled to help everybody drive up the price, right? Then you've confirmed the uptrend. Awesome, ride it there. But hey, all of a sudden it breaks this massive trend line and you've never even entered a position. So you would basically set a stop buy for the people that use them for, you know, right around where you think a resistance is. I think a resistance is most likely right around here. I'm just going to take the most extreme cases, for example. I'm just going to go wick to wick, and the rest I'll consider a bull break. Some people might consider it like right here, like that. Some people might consider it like this one right here. Very subjective, right? Very subjective. So it's whatever you think is the best. You know, you would set a stop buy right up here, and then if it breaks out above it with conviction, you're automatically in a trade where your stop limit would your stop buy would automatically execute a buy for you if it goes above that price, right? Every exchange has these kinds of features. But now all of a sudden, you never broke out of here. And because it never broke out of there, you never entered a trade since your stop buy never triggered, right? So now, great. You just minimize your risk. You didn't accumulate right now in anticipation for a breakout. And then all of a sudden, this was A and this is B. And we did retrace the 0.5 level already, if you guys see, right? This green line right here is the 0.5 Fibonacci level. It did retrace it. And now we're going to say, oh crap, it didn't bounce off of there. But that's okay. Now I'm going to get another opportunity. I'm going to get another opportunity to look for most relevant buy zones wherever they could be. But first of all, I'm going to test right here. Okay, so it breaks down. All of a sudden, your buy zone now becomes right around here. Okay, your buy zone becomes here. All right, and then all of a sudden, this line is becoming irrelevant, right? This line is becoming completely irrelevant. This trend line is also irrelevant as well now. And then all that we have is this one right here. Okay, it bounces off of here. Right, so I think a lot of people will probably take the risk here again because that's a 618 Fibonacci level as well, and it's near this zone right there where there's price action. And the reason why a lot of people will take this risk as well is because they think it's going to form a descending triangle like that. I'll take the extreme case. Actually, I'll just go to wick. So they think it's going to form a descending triangle, right? And it's usually it takes 3 touches for it to successfully break down with lower highs. So then this will just form, you know, this will form, this whole thing would basically be some sort of A, B, C, D, E correction in there, like the whole thing in there, where it breaks down, right? And that's possible as well for the B, okay? I'm talking about a triangle like this. So, where you get a triangle like that, right? And then you get a consolidation pattern like here, A. I'm sure you guys have seen this before all the time. And then it finally breaks downwards or something like that. Or sorry, I'm drawing it wrong. It's 5 touches. It's the other way. It goes A, B, C, D, and then E. It gets, that's how it's drawn from there, from the downtrend, right? So that's what I'm talking about right there. So check this out. This whole thing is B, right? Right here. And then, you know, there could be a possible C down there. And then this whole thing could be A, B, C, D, and then E, right? And then we downtrend to a zigzag. So that's what people are basically banking on as well right now. They're trying to see if this is a corrective pattern right here, right? or if the B is going to be higher. But the first thing to do is we got to see if it's going to break out of that pattern. This pattern is specifically right here first, right? We have no idea what's going to happen. So if you draw it like this, you know what? I retract what I said earlier on the 4-hour chart. I do think that it needs to break out of this pattern for something to happen right now. And I do think we're going to get a few more touches down over here as well. And this is most likely going to wedge into here, like I mentioned. But until then, and this is the trend line support, don't forget that. So the big question, guys, is this going to hold, right? Do you guys see how something is happening here, right? So if this doesn't hold when it wedges, we already played out the scenario of it breaking upwards from here. If it doesn't hold, then the first likely case is that it's going to test this double bottom, or it's going to try to test to get a double bottom here, right? It just makes sense that it's going to go into some sort of descending triangle, right? So now that broke right there, and now this sort of forms a trend line, so we can definitely assume that it might make an A, right? And that could be a, you know, the B in there as well. So those are my thoughts on WABI right now. I do think it is finding support here, but it needs to make a test again first. And the only thing that we can do is wait until it gets to an apex moment. And the apex moment, guys, like this right here is the most important thing to remember. This trend line right here that we're drawing, this is the one that's been holding a lot of the things up, okay? We're going to see if it's going to wedge here. And what I am banking on, actually, like now that I've done more of a TA on it with you guys here, I'm banking on it getting to at least a 0.5 retracement and something like that. ABC for now, until we see if it's A, B, C, D, E. So this moment right here is where you guys will know when this critical apex moment meets. Not that one, not that one, but in here, you will know whether it is going to make a run up to a higher B, because we drew, or I drew the Elliott wave wrong there, because it's still very hard to tell, or if it's going to break down and do a zigzag type of correction instead, like that. Okay, we don't know, and what buy zones it's going to fall into. So just keep in mind that these are, when I say buy zones, I mean support regions more so, okay? So you guys can take the risk if you want to see if it's going to bounce, but we did get to the 618 Fibonacci region already, and for all we know, right, it could make a zigzag like that, okay? It could make a zigzag like that, and then, you know, it attempts to break out, all of this finishes, who knows, it could even retrace an absurd amount, right? And we can get a WXY combo in here, where it attempts to break out slightly right there, like say right there, and then it fails, okay? And then it fails like this, and it makes another ABC type pattern. Okay, now we're in the negatives. That's obviously not going to happen. So let's say we get another ABC, right? I'm just speculating, and just give you guys a clear cut example. So we get an ABC, and that's a Y, like that, right? So like, let's say we even get more. That can happen. Like this would be a double Elliott wave combo, right? And then eventually just keeps curving. I don't like to use cup and handle. It's not my style. But you know, if the volume starts decreasing, we very well could get a very long base, right? That could last a long time as well. That goes up and then retraces up to 328 region, and then it breaks out like that. So that's definitely possible as well. The only thing I would really recommend keeping an eye on, like I have to highly emphasize for the people that are looking at this coin, is to draw your trend line support like that. Draw your resistance line like that as well, right? And let it wedge. And there will be two scenarios. So Winnie, there will be two scenarios. There will be one where this is B, right? And then it breaks down to one of these buy zones, and we watch for it to level out. We watch for to see if it gets rejected by a long wick with volume spiking up like that. That's how we know. Even if we don't catch the bottom, we need to make sure we exercise when the bottom, like how to read when the bottom is very, very near. That's why you guys have seen me not even tweet anything about profits or even trading today. It's because, guys, I stay out of the market when things like this happen, and I wait during the consolidation period. If you guys remember last year in November, December, when I used to tweet my profits because I didn't really do a lot of TA, like sometimes I trade heavily and then I don't do TA as much, right? Because I'm scalping and day trading, and then other times I'm doing crazy amounts of TA and then I'm not really trading as much, right? But here I get to do TA, I get to day trade a little bit, and I especially get to hold a little bit of a longer term. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, right? But you guys have seen some weeks where I'm tweeting an absurd amount of profits, not bragging about it, okay? But I'm just saying very clearly that there are some times you should be playing in the market and sometimes you should know when to stay away. And right now, guys, I know when to stay away, right? That's why I'm not even caring about it right now. I'd rather focus on what's going on in the market to stay in tune and direct my energy that place and that in these circumstances rather than being in a position and praying that Bitcoin bounces. I'd rather get solid confirmation because there will be so many other opportunities to play, okay? So we're going to see if this is the B and it moves down further and it breaks this trend line support. If that doesn't happen, then it's very safe to target a 0.5 Fibonacci region. And then we know that, right, if that doesn't happen and it breaks upwards instead, we know we can target like a Fibonacci region that's fairly respectable of this specific wave right here. So this one would be like, I'm just gonna drag it over. I'm gonna delete this one too. You know, the 0.5 range or something like that. Like that. And if that doesn't play out, and this wedge that I've repeated many times because I want you guys to understand it's a critical moment right now. If that wedge doesn't break down, then that very well, and it breaks out of there, right? We could very well target A, B, C, and this tends to happen a lot. So yes, see where this goes. If it breaks up here, great. If it breaks up from you know from here and it makes a way to a B right here, and we find that it bounces from it, great. Now we have a second point of resistance and contact, and we also have this massive trend line that we can expect to hold. And then if that happens, we can expect it to hold and make an A, B, C, D, E pattern. And great, that's even better. Because then on January 24th, if I'm just speculating here and doing a very detailed analysis just by extrapolating methods or by using just extrapolation, we're talking about in 1 week. If this pattern holds and it does the A, B, C, D, E, we could be breaking out to much newer highs, right? So I'm playing out the bullish scenario here as well for you. But we look on the indicators, guys, like we've talked about already as well, right? We talked about the RSI, we've talked about the MACD as well. I mean, look at the 2-hour one. I don't know if it's gonna come back up. Like it looks like it might want to curve back down here. There's not a lot of data yet. The 1 daily chart is not even available yet. This chart's only been around for a few days, keep in mind, guys. Or maybe, how long has it been around for? Since December 13. December 13 only, and that's like only a month and 5 days or 4 days. So there's a very finite amount of data, right? But I do think that it might break out, right? That's all we can say. We just have to wait for the signals. If this pattern forms, awesome, it's most likely going to break out, right? I mean, if that pattern forms right here, we can expect a ridiculous high for the next wave. We can expect a high of, like, we can just use like Dash's method where I extrapolated it, right? Dash's method where I extrapolated it. I think that, okay, I'm going to be quite frank, guys. Now that I've done this, I think that this support is just frankly going to hold, right? And we're probably going to do this A, B, C, D, E pattern. We've corrected to 0.5 region. If we use this extrapolation method, right? Like, you know, just like that. Like, it's hard for me to see it breaking, guys. It's hard to see me breaking it. And so I'm just going to say that there's a bearish scenario where it could retrace down more and break this trend line, right? And then there's the bullish scenario as well. The bullish scenario is that it goes to 55,000 Satoshi. Huh, interesting. You know, I'm gonna back up a little bit because I think I'm getting too much info in for this right here. So I'm gonna go over this really quickly as well, okay? That if you relate a chart like this to Neo, what you could see it as is an expanding diagonal. So we have a baseline support that runs across here like that, right? That runs across like this. And just like with Neo, with Neo EOS as well, right? We see kind of in a channel first, but it breaks out into an expanding one like that. So based on here, we can assume that this support is most likely going to hold, right? Assuming that we played out all the scenarios. We've literally played out all the scenarios. So let's say that this actually holds right here, okay? I'm gonna zoom in like this. Okay, let's say that this scenario holds and that actually retraced already. Like, I'm telling you guys right now that there's a bullish scenario as well, right? There's a bullish scenario and there's a bearish scenario as well. And the bullish scenario goes something like that, where it hits around the 53 region. The 53 region, if this is where the correction ends, and it does make the ABCDE pattern that we were talking about, that just wedges into something like that, right? The ABCDE, or however it makes it like that. But as soon as we break, it might even make an ascending triangle. Like, we just don't know, guys. If it makes an ascending triangle, all right, then it's going to try to break that at least, right? That'll be awesome. That looks more bullish than bearish. And the worst case scenario, like I mentioned, we retraced down to a lower buy zone, guys. We retraced down to a lower buy zone. So gotta keep a close eye on what happens in this wedge right there. That's happening. That's forming. Do you guys see this wedge right here? Make sure you keep such a close eye on it, right? Draw this pattern out. If you see it break out of this pattern right here, down, you guys know that a massive support is breaking. And I'm not talking about a wick. I'm talking about breaking down and breaking down, closing underneath it with volume and conviction. Then you know that you're like, okay, crap, that's going to be the ABC zigzag going down, right? But if we're just going to bounce up a little bit more, just give me a little bit more, A, B, C, D, E, and then we break out of this pattern, that's basically on January 19 to keep an eye on, okay, in 2 days. January 19, in 2 days, that's something big is going to happen. The big thing that's going to happen is, you know, a lot of people are probably accumulating here, I'm sure. They're betting to go long because they're thinking that it's going to do this expanding diagonal and probably even target 55,000 Satoshi. Like, that's one scenario, okay? Possible bullish scenario. Long term, it hits 55,000 if we bounce right here. And of course, the next scenario is, will we test again in these regions, right? Will we fall between the 15,000 to 20,000 Satoshi range, right? So big apex is forming. If we do break out of it, we could very well just get that A, B, C, D, E I was talking about, where that shape ends up becoming like that, or we get an ascending triangle and we break out of it, right? That could possibly happen. If that happens, then it's very likely to get a target of 5,400 Satoshi there. But then if we don't hold this line right here, I will see you guys between 15,000 to 20,000 Satoshi. And those are my thoughts on WABI. I hope it has helped you guys. I hope that you guys enjoy my TA, whether it's funny or helpful or insightful or educational or entertaining, whatever. I'd appreciate an upvote on Steemit. That would be wicked, guys. Steemit, you guys got to sign up for it. You guys got to write about yourselves. Post pictures of your cat. Post pictures of your dog. You know, like, do something like that. Like, Steemit is awesome. And if you guys really like it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share my videos as well on YouTube and on Twitter. I post a lot of good content and try to tweet entertaining stuff, whether it's feeding the trolls, you know, or something like that. There's always the daily dose of drama with Sir Mr. Filicon Fibinucci there. I'm always saying something in a sarcastic way that's probably pissing some people off. So and yeah, if you especially love the videos, you guys can also donate to Luna's cryptocurrency piggy bank. I posted a video of Luna today. Everybody thought she was dead, so I had to prove to the crypto community that I didn't eat my dog, Okay, guys, I always joke about eating my dog. I always joke about her being an alcoholic, like, or are they really jokes? So the community, some people that follow me were outraged, right? They thought I was serious about that, so I had to post a little video that my little puppy's fine. So have yourselves a great day, and please, please be cautious and wait for that wedge or that little channel to finish forming so you can figure out what is going to happen. And make sure you're also drawing your lines, your charts, your supports, etc. If you're a technical analyst as well, try to copy what I'm doing and then try to improve on it as well. Try to find mistakes in what I'm doing. And I always appreciate the feedback for how to improve and how to look at things from a different perspective as well. Okay, so have a great day. Bye, guys.